Thomas E. LaCroix.
Could you spell your last name, please?
L-A, capital C-R-O-I-X.
Could you pronounce that?
LaCroix.
Ah, that's the French?
French name is LaCroix.
LaCroix.
Yeah.
Wow. What is your birthday?
June 17th, 1930.
And please tell me about your family, your parents when you were growing up, and your sibling, if you have any.
My mother was and family was from Oklahoma. The father went to Oklahoma through Missouri and then Arkansas studying coal. And he went to Oklahoma and found what he was looking for was the creeks. Under the creeks, they found coal.
Ah.
And his oldest son, they stripped off because of winter like this, and took the mules and draw the water off of the creek. And then they took the coal out and put it in the wagons and put them to the nearest railroad and sent them off to probably Pennsylvania or somewhere back east where they were dealing with iron.
So you born in Oklahoma?
I was born in Seminole, Oklahoma.
Could you spell the name of the town?
Okay. But Seminole is an Indian name.
S?
I can't even...
Similar.
Seminole.
Seminole.
It's an Indian tribe name.
In Oklahoma, right?
In Oklahoma, and they named it as an oil boom town.
What about the school you went through?
I remember I'm living in the country now. My grandfather had built a grocery store and what we call it, my mind ain't on it, is a place where you can shear horses for wild horses and tractors sharpen their blades and performing.
What about the school? What did you graduate high school?
School there was just a country town store. We had 2 outdoor houses for, in case of storm, they would put us in there. And I was just a kid.
So when did you join the military?
Military is when my mother left the country and went to a small town of Sparrow, and from Sparrow she moved to back to Seminole.
When did you join the military?
When did I join the military? When we moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Tulsa, Oklahoma. When was it? Do you remember?
It must have been around when I was 17, 18 years old. I had to get an okay from my mother, and I joined the U.S. Navy.
Navy?
Yes.
Ah.
And went to San Diego for boot camp. And from boot camp, I went from there to an aircraft carrier, Tarawa.
Tarawa.
Yeah. And from Tarawa, we went to China.
China?
Yeah. So I think the name
Shanghai?
was, huh?
Shanghai?
No, we didn't go to Shanghai. We went to a place called Tsingtao, China.
Tsingtao.
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 It was across the bay from Korea.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And I don't know for sure that's when I left, or I went to Japan and probably transferred from there to go to Korea.
When was that? Do you remember?
No.
Was it only in the war?
It was during the war.
During the war.
I don't know if it's before the war or just after it, but I landed in a place in North Korea,
Uh-huh.
far from the soldiers had a line or something like, and I forgot the numbers of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was something to do with the border line between Korea and China, I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
We went by ocean around on the other side and went up to a, what do you call it? Inlet.
Inlet, yes.
And we stayed outside until we know a plane was coming. That was an American plane that got in trouble, and they would land in this bay, and we'd pick them up.
Mm-hmm.
That was our job.
What was the name of aircraft carrier?
I'm assuming it was the Sarawa, because I don't remember. It had to be surely a smaller boat.
Mm-hmm. So you knew that there is a Korean War broke out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And other than that, I knew we was up so far in Korea that they went in, and only thing I remember that they would pick up the
Airplane.
not the aircraft, but the man.
Oh,
that was
pilot.
Down, and he would land in the bay, and we'd pick him up.
I see. Rescue?
Huh?
Rescue them?
Rescue there.
Uh-huh.
And probably put him into this little town that we went through.
Uh-huh.
And it was people who were, I used to know the names of, they would have diseases that would eventually die off.
What was your specialty?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
MOS. What
No.
was your specialty?
My specialty was on the ship was a book, probably storekeeper. I made the ice cream and.
Oh, you did?
and it's it might have been a kind of an oiler. Because I remember we would walk from the fontail of the ship like an oiler and have what do you call it, in between the ship and the midship, you had a walkway.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it
Uh-huh.
And from there, we also, the head of the ship,
I see.
we had storage and stuff up there.
Uh-huh.
I think, I'm just trying to remember.
What was your favorite ice cream you made?
Oh, I don't know, just whatever they had to make. We just made it for the, dinners and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and their breaks, they could come in and order ice cream.
Mm-hmm. And so I think you were in the West Sea,
Huh?
the other side of the,
Korea.
yeah, right?
Yeah.
And
I remember as you go up, you had a split of Korea, north and south,
right,
and we went on the other side.
right. The other side.
The first
which-
time I was on this side, I was on China's side.
Oh, first in your China side, and then the other side, right?
Right.
Oh, okay, okay.
But it wasn't the same ship.
I see.
Because this was like a tanker or something that I got on.
Was there any dangerous moments in your service?
No, well, yeah. As we dawned on it, I wasn't, the war wasn't on us, other than the fact that that we knew that we were inside Korea, and that once we went into this bay, they had a road around this bay to go down to where the war was, you might say, for us. And they would bomb us.
Wow.
From this top side of the bay, and they claimed that they took the paint off of it every once in a while. But, and it got too rough, we left, left the place and went come back.
So you were in Qingdao, China, the harbor, when the Korean War broke out. Is that right?
That's what I could gather. But I didn't know that we were going to go to Japan, and then I'd come back on the other side of the Korea.
Yeah.
Never was, you might say, on the island, unless there was some of our boats, and like supply boat or something, would go in and out of Korea there. But we weren't ever stationed there, other than when we went into that bay.
Had you landed any in Korean part of the soil?
We had a small boat, and we were heading for the shore of, how the bay was like here, and we was out in the middle. We got out sometime that morning and went down towards the bottom of Korea. And they sent us back, so you might say, and we got back in no trouble.
What was the most difficult thing during your service?
In the service?
I mean, in the Korean War, what was the most difficult thing for you?
Nothing. It was pretty much we was isolated on our own ship. Some of them weren't. The only thing isolated we were on is that they could fire on us, and we fired back as we were out in the ocean. Not in the ocean, we were in the bay.
Bay.
And we'd pick up these flyers, and one of them, I remember, didn't make it. The plane hit the water, and they say it took the head off. We took what left and put it in, and then took it to this outlet, which was people who were, you didn't want to live there, you know what I mean? It was like history saying that these people were in caves and whatever that said be away from them. And because their hands would fall off or their skin would fall off and what. and it was a simple name because we got it in Hawaii. They had very islands also to keep people like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's all I can remember.
Mm.
By.
So when were you discharged from Navy?
Oh, when was I discharged? I didn't even think about that. Korea was over, and
You were there until the end of the Korean War?
I think pretty much so.
Uh-huh.
Was either there or was heading back to the United States, and some other ship would take our place or something.
Mm-hmm.
And we stayed in Honolulu.
Honolulu?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we were there for both times. Every time we went, we stopped there. And I remember waiting for another boat or something. That's how. But we were in. I'd have to stop and think where we were at when the war was over and we were in another part of the country.
I see.
Because I know the main ship that I was telling you about, the Tarawa, we went from there to the people in Hong Kong knew where we was going to go the next step. and one of the guys got a letter to drop off.
Got it. What do you think about the Korean War?
I didn't think much of it because it was really wasn't that a virus, you might say.
Mm-hmm.
But we always heard about some kind of parallel between North and South Korea, and having problems with North Korea's president and what they were having down in the south part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So they were fighting among themselves, I would say.
Are you proud to be a Korean War veteran?
Well, we got out of it and really wouldn't think we was in any war. Yeah.
But you know that the Korea now is very, very strong in economy and democracy.
Well, later on, now then, since you mentioned it,
Mm-hmm.
I had one of my best friends from that country.
Mm-hmm. You mean Korean?
Woman, yeah,
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah.
We worked in a casino
Ah.
together. That's after I got out of service.
I see. What do you think that it was the impact of your military service in your life?
I'm sure that the United States had something to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure, but we were right there. I don't know if it meant that they would stay in line or it helped them or whatever, but we didn't. The Korean, as I was the only one who was having problems with their president, and as soon as they settled down, I never heard anything much about it.
Mm. What do you remember about the Korean War?
To me, It wasn't no war that they were doing.
Thomas, I would like to thank you for your honorable service and
I'm
sacrifice.
glad I can remember that part.
Yeah, you gave us an opportunity to rebuild our own nation.
They were, afterwards and whatever, they were doing great.
Yes. So I want to thank you for your service and thank you for sharing your story with me today.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.